Welcome to Beerfield, where I remember to take the intro graphic down, but Dan's camera doesn't work on our new night. We're doing Thursday nights for the foreseeable future. I am your host at Beerfield Hop with 2 Ps. As always, joined by at Ryan Miner _FFP.
Hello, good evening. Welcome.
Dan Thury from wherever you are.
I'm in Kansas City for work.
And 10-0 Carolina on the Thursday night football games. We'll be watching that as we go. I wish I could say this is a packed show. Really kind of not. Just going to be kind of run of the mill. That's what happens, this time of the fantasy season. We're in the dog days. You're not quite the last couple week playoff push, but we're near the end of the dog days. So we're going to go ahead and we'll hit the injury news. We'll preview your games, and we're going to do a little check-in here now that we're kind of in the final stretch of the fantasy season, and see if there's any hot streaks or anything we need to ride, and check out some ROS schedules and things like that, and try to set you up for the final stretch in your league. So without further ado, at Beerfield on Twitter, for now, until we decide to change our name to like the Fantasy Footballers and pay to be verified, and then see how that goes for us. Thanks, Elon.
Thanks, Elon.
It's only $8 a month.
It's $8.
Yeah,
it's $8 that the show doesn't have.
We can't afford $8.
We cannot. Not really. Yeah. I think I was giving socials. That's what I was doing. Beerfield Podcast on Spotify and YouTube. And let's get into what are we drinking.
What's fueling Beerfield?
Dan, you're on the road. What did you find?
So I am. It's funny enough. I've been drinking KC beers, but I found some. I found some narrow gauge, and narrow gauge is out of
St. Louis, Florissant,
Missouri, northern suburbs of the St. Louis area, as Hoppers just said. It's funny. They actually do their contract brewing through Florissant, Missouri. So it's
cool.
Set on the can. I would show you the can, but my fucking camera doesn't work.
Stupid camera.
Sweet. Ryan, what are you drinking? I saw you had some striped stuff.
I do. I have Brewdog's Elvis Juice. It's a grapefruit infused IPA.
Nice. All right. And I've got Triptych Shadow Band, so oatmeal stout. So I was able to pick this up between this and some New England IPAs. I'm actually low on beer because I used all of it to study for my BJCP test, which happened last Sunday. So I should get to drink beer and enjoy it again instead of pick it apart, except for on this show and when I'm judging. All right, let's go ahead and get into the news. Lively bunch tonight.
News.
Felt like the drop was necessary due to the lack of energy. Russell Gage out for week 10.
Oh, we lost Dan again.
Did we? That's probably why there's a lack of energy. I bet he was trying to talk and then couldn't. I should let him back in, huh?
Yeah, maybe. Might be a good idea.
I'm sure he really wants to give his thoughts on Russell Gage. Hey,
there he is.
God,
hey, he's here.
That's why I left. Yeah, I was able to figure it. I've been fucking with
Does that mean you're gonna
troubleshooting?
Does that mean you're gonna talk now and I don't have to feel like I'm just
I said 1 second and I think it stopped working. But yes, here's my can of narrow gauge.
nice.
It's the OJ run.
OJ run?
It's a double Imperial Hazy, 8.6%.
Nice.
Noise.
All right. So Russell Gage.
He's not flying to Munich. So
yeah, he's out for week 10.
He's out.
I mean, unless he wants to catch a quick flight, I don't think he's going to be playing.
No, you know who's not out? Jonathan Taylor. He was practicing in full. Deion Jackson, on the other hand, not practicing. So Some shifts in that. JT sounds like he's going to be back.
It's almost like a free agent running back was not very good.
Yeah.
And they're very
No.
glad to get their free agent. Now they're very glad to get their second round pick back.
Everybody thought.
He had that one game, he had 10 targets.
Yeah. Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller to IR. So
That was rough.
It's Matt Collins season again.
Fucking this will never escape us. And we're in like week 10, so they'll be back potentially by
week 14 maybe, and
by the end of your season.
There's no reason to hold Hunter Renfrow. He has not given you anything usable for most of the season. There's zero reason to hold on to him. Waller, because of the tight end position, I think is probably a little more worth it, but he hasn't been healthy really all year. So, but Hunter Renfrow, I don't think there's a reason to hold on to.
Yeah, it's gonna be really. I think. Sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
No, you got it. You got the main one.
No. Go. I talked.
I think he just been a bust.
You got to get your thing in.
He's just been a bust all year. Like we all drafted him as like a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 at worst, and he just hasn't returned value at all on that one.
Oh, it's always the fear when you got somebody that comes in and snaps up targets, and then different offense. And I think people thought under McDaniels that would get used a little bit more, and just it's not how it's played out. So
yeah, it's unless you have a lot of IR spots too, I don't know if it's even worth holding on to Waller. I mean, he finally got put on IR after this back and forth shit. The same thing with Keenan Allen, right? So who knows if even if he's designated to return in week 14, if he'll even be there. So I wouldn't waste the actual bench spot on him. And if there's someone better to throw,
if you can.
If you can, otherwise, two tight end premium, little different, but in your basic scoring tight end leagues, you could probably let them go.
Yeah. Couple quarterback injuries to pay attention to going into this week. Matt Stafford, he's got a concussion and hasn't been practicing, so gonna be real close on if he can clear protocol or not. We'll talk about streamers when we get into the weekly games, but John Wolford is his backup, and then Josh Allen not practicing with what's being termed a minor elbow injury. I've seen it's a partial UCL tear, which if you're a baseball player, that's really bad. If you're a football player, different throwing motion, it's really not that big of a deal, but definitely something to pay attention to and keep an eye on with Josh Allen here is, the week goes on. Case Keenum's his backup. It would set up a Case Keenum revenge game.
It'd be Keenum Diggs revenge game. It'd be it's going to be glorious. The first time that they played the Vikings since. So
yeah,
it'll be. I hope Buffalo. I mean, I know I'm a Vikings fan, but I really want Allen to play if he was healthy. I really hope Buffalo sits him and not risk further injury.
I have absolutely no reason to play him.
Force it. Yeah,
you've got a good enough backup that I get it. You're playing a good team,
hope.
But yeah, you should. Case Keenum is a good enough backup with good enough players around him to where you shouldn't have to force Allen into this one if he's really not ready to go.
Yeah, but we all know how players can sway their coaching staff, especially one as important as Allen. So I guess we'll see.
Chargers are not in good shape. They're without Keenan Allen. They're without Mike Williams still and Dustin Hopkins. So still very, very banged up as far as, practicing and stuff goes. So Josh Palmer is going to be in line again this week.
Yikes. I was like, too, if Mike Williams is available on your waiver wire, because he's projected back week 12. If you get an open spot, he's not a bad idea to try to stash right now, especially with Keenan Allen still being banged up.
And Keenan Allen's it's almost same thing, right? He's actually participating more in practice this week than he was last week. So, even if it's not this week, if somebody for some reason dropped him, which I'm sure there are some leagues where, you know, I like to think common sense prevails and that you don't do that, but there's some leagues, and if you hang out on the internet at all, that's not always a thing. So I think either one of them is definitely worth a stash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone dropped Keenan Allen, but someone might have dropped Mike Williams in a league.
You'd be surprised.
Sure, people have dropped Keenan Allen.
You'd be surprised. A player hasn't been available at all this season. I'm sure he's
played 2 half games.
Yeah, he's done absolutely nothing. I wouldn't. I'm just saying I wouldn't completely fault someone.
No, I wouldn't either.
If they're in dire need of roster spots,
I could see the argument for it. Yeah. I forgot where I was now. Oh yeah, Colts fired Frank Reich and named Jeff Saturday their head coach. And curious decision. Irsay is definitely on the sauce again.
I don't think he's been off the sauce. I think he's been on it for years.
Probably
I don't know. I don't know what to make of this decision. He's the first coach in history to be hired on as a head coach without any prior coaching experience.
Yeah, and that's the interesting part, right? He's got no prior coaching experience at all. We know that playing with Peyton Manning all those years that, he probably is a really, really smart football guy. He was a great player. He's probably a smart football guy, but smart football guy does not necessarily equal good coach. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. I'm sure as a former player that, he's going to be relatable. He'll probably have the locker room, and I'm sure that, he's definitely smart enough to do it. It's just you coming in with no experience, man, is a tall order.
I don't get how he even got it in the first place. Like, out of all coaches that are available,
because Jim Irsay is on the sauce.
It's just like
I don't know.
Just totally surprised.
He was a consultant, but being a front office consultant, you would think puts him more in line for Chris Ballard's job than it does Frank Reich's.
Right?
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how this is gonna go. It's gonna be interesting. They also
my call now.
Promoted a play caller that has never called plays.
This is going to end horribly.
This can't go bad.
It's going to be awesome, and it's going to be the next fad.
It's like that meme you see with the dog drinking a cup of coffee in a fire. This is fine.
No, it's Irsay is playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers. There's no film on these guys. There's no tape on these guys, and he's trying to grab an advantage because you can't study them.
It's going to just be John. It's just gonna be Jonathan Taylor sitting there in the fire saying everything's fine. He says he's the only one. Just give the ball. That's all Jeff Saturday's actually
Jonathan
saying.
Taylor's gonna roll his own ankle on purpose.
Yeah.
I don't want to play anymore.
He's gonna pull up Peter Griffin and just.
Sorry, coach. It's really bad. I can't. Next year. We'll talk next year.
I gotta go to my friend's birthday party. I can't play anymore.
Right. My wife gave me an ultimatum.
Yeah, she's about to file for divorce.
We're going to talk this one out. Don't want to be like that Brady guy.
Yeah.
David Njoku is not practicing. Josh Reynolds is not practicing. Chris Boswell to IR. Matthew Wright signed by Pittsburgh. Kyron Williams should be back to the Rams in week 10. They're still searching for answers in their rushing game. And Dan Snyder and the Commanders.
Oh my God, what a dumpster fire, man.
It's still not over yet, but we're getting close. I can't wait for him to be exposed, thrown in jail for the rest of his life. And
so,
well, it's not just him either.
No, it's the whole org and Roger Goodell
yeah.
and the NFL and the DC District Attorney game is coming down on them pretty hard.
Yeah,
it's gonna be like this is like Twitter, but with an organization.
Yeah.
it's gonna come crashing down beautifully without having to charge us $8 to watch it.
For a check mark?
I don't need a check mark.
I don't either. Yeah. They're in bad shape. And it's glorious to see, I guess. What pissed me off is they took a shot at the district attorney by scapegoating their own player who was shot.
They were trying to utilize, they were trying to gain like
sympathy points.
Sympathy for it. They're
of,
like, we're gonna find who shot him. We'll do whatever we possibly can. Like it's all about Brian Robinson being shot.
Totally scapegoated Brian Robinson in that, and he's just trying to play football. They're like, nah, crime's still rampant, and you're worried about this. We had a player that got shot, and you're worried about us, and it's like, I've never seen anybody gaslight a district attorney.
It's freaking nuts.
That's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it pans out.
It seems like something that's not going to go the way you think that's going to go. Is my thought.
I love how we have 21 pass attempts in total in the first half of this game.
It's pretty bad. Hey, I got this beer I have not drank at all.
Have you talked about it? You probably have. I probably just wasn't there.
I did. Triptych Shadow Band.
Oh, okay.
Stout.
Oatmeal stout.
Mm-hmm. All right. Ryan did say that at 8:30 he's going to be in and out for kitty bedtime. So you and I are going to talk for a bit. Just like
the good old days.
Just like old times. Nah. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to jump in on the last couple weeks worth of things, and let's reset a little bit and, kind of see where things are at and where we're trending and things of that nature to see if there's anybody that we really need to reset on. So we'll go position by position, look at the overall, and then we can look at some other things like target volume and schedule and things like that. We did this, I want to say 3 or 4 weeks ago. And Mike is not cooperating with me. We did this like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Just same thing. And I think it's important to do throughout the season because you don't want to get these notions on some of these players, like say a Justin Fields who's still on waivers in 60% of leagues, and not adjust or not go pick up, or you're just looking at the season long rank and not what have you done for me lately. So we're gonna start with quarterback. Justin Fields is QB1 since week 6.
He's been a top 5 quarterback in the last 3 weeks. 6 touchdowns, 1 pick. Since week 6, 7 touchdowns, 2 picks. Top 10 quarterback since week 6. It's been a streamable quarterback since week 5. It's a QB 13 with 17. It's not the offense that's letting them air the ball out more. It's that they finally let the offense be just work for him. Yeah. Just letting him kind of make plays, and we get to see
what that looks like. It's pretty.
This has been one of the best. It's been one of the highest scoring offenses in football. Like, the biggest difference between what, they're doing with him and what Baltimore did with Lamar early on in his career is all about pace of play, because the Bears defense sucks. And because Justin Fields is a better passer, especially downfield passer than what Lamar was back then, you're seeing a lot more of an open offense. Chicago's not going to be a playoff team this year by any means. They're going to scare a lot of teams.
No, they ensured that when they traded away their best pass rusher and their middle linebacker. And, but they're a team that is trying to develop their quarterback. And you saw that, I think, with kind of the slow start and the training wheels, and then progressively they've removed them, and it's gotten better. And what I'm curious to see, we looked at a couple weeks back, we looked at Fields' protection time versus time to release, and he had the most protection time with the slowest time to release in the NHL while in the pocket. So your protection time's clean pocket based. So that kind of takes out being under pressure, scrambling around, that type of stuff. I'm curious to see if he had that moment like we hear with a lot of players of the game slowed down and the processing time picked up. Adding Chase Claypool, interested to see how that plays out for him as well. But it's only up for Fields. I absolutely think this is real, what we're getting out of him, and I do think it's going to continue.
I'm just really, 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 really happy that Chicago didn't fuck him up. Like, it's someone who has been enamored with him since the days of Devy, since his freshman season, really since the second season, I guess, when he transferred to Ohio State. It's been nothing but excitement. So, hopefully you picked him up. I got a text message from my buddy from a couple weeks ago when we talked about his trade he made. He traded away Josh Allen and I think his ETN and some players for Justin Jefferson. and Kamara, and I told him to pick up Justin Fields. He sent me a text gloating me. He's like, I'm really happy you told me to pick him up because he was going to ride Rodgers. Can you imagine picking Rodgers over Justin Fields at this point, though? Oh my God.
No, that'd be bad. I mean, Rodgers is actually QB 13. He's in solid streamer range, but he's a streamer. So
he's got no upside with the same points being scored.
Yeah,
it's insane what he's done too. It's funny. It's like
points per game are not good either. This is taking into account bye weeks. I should probably sort by points per game, but Fantasy Pros does this weird thing where it doesn't reorder the numbers and I have to count.
He's been a mid-tier streamer. Besides this past week, it was really rough for him.
Yeah. No, he's right there in mid-tier, and weirdly so is Lamar Jackson.
It's been, I mean, they have no playmakers. They're missing Dobbins, they're missing Gus Edwards, Bateman's off for the year.
The floor's been there, but the ceiling hasn't been for Jackson.
It's like maybe you shouldn't have traded away Marquise Brown.
Yeah.
It just looks so bad on them.
Let's see. So it's Fields 1, Burrow 2, Allen 3, Tua 4, Hurts 5. That's not surprising.
Speaking of Fields, we got quite. Robbie wants to know Tua or Fields.
Give me just a second.
Probably rest of season.
Rest of season. Let's look at it because that's part of what we're talking about, right?
Yeah. So we got Tua Fields. You look that up. He's also asked about Foster Monroe and Evan Ingram. Sure. I think that one we can still say. We can still say Evan Ingram.
Still probably Ingram. Vegas just signed Jacob Hollister too, has some familiarity with McDaniel's offense. So just
we like Monroe. Oh, he's asking for this week.
This week. Gotcha.
Okay.
So this week the Bears have the Lions, and I don't think you get a better matchup than that. So I don't even know that I need to look at.
I mean, he's matchup proof anyways, right? With his rushing ability, now he just get upside.
He is. This is a hugely plus matchup.
Yeah, I don't know how you. I'm like it's tough with Tua. I get it. Right now Waddle and Hill are your number 1 and 2 receivers in fantasy over the past 2 weeks.
They get the Browns, little more stat of a matchup, but I don't know how you look. The Lions are a juicy matchup, and that's the tiebreaker. I think that you're good with both guys, but the tiebreaker to me is you got a quarterback that's hot right now going against the worst pass offense and defense in the league.
He has Tyreek Hill, so there is a game stack.
Yeah,
I think this. I'd probably play Tua because I love the upside in game stacks. It really just propels the boom if both players go off. You really can't go wrong, man.
Yeah,
like you can flip a coin. They're probably both going to be top 5. If Fields has the rushing upside, which gives him a higher ceiling and generally higher floor.
Higher floor too.
Tua probably has just a bit more consistent boom to him, just given his weapons. But Justin Fields has been a top 5 QB the past 3 weeks. He's been a QB1. He's been the QB1 the past 3 weeks.
The difference between them has been 5 points a game, which
that's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot. But it's Tua's the QB3. Is that what you said?
No, since week 6, Tua's the QB5 in points per game.
Okay. Yeah.
Going by points per game, just because of missed games and stuff like that. He's the QB5. Fields is the QB2, a 10th of a point behind Mahomes.
Okay. Yeah, you have 2 top 5 QBs. I'd probably, like I said, I lean Tua just because of the stack. You really can't go around Fields. And then we both say Ingram on the tight end.
Yep.
Like I need to see him. Like we both like Foster Monroe. Never really been a starter. Ingram's been at least relatively consistent.
It's not like Waller's been healthy all season, so him going on IR isn't,
that too.
Suddenly propelling Foster Moreau, I don't think.
Yeah.
So, just Ingram is a tight end 10 over the last 3 weeks, so 4 weeks, which, I mean, the difference between...
Thanks, Robbie.
Yeah. So, there you go.
Cool. Right.
Back to that quarterback side of things, though. Just run through some things because there's some things down lower too that are a little interesting. So skipping over Teddy because he played one game. Behind Hurts, you have Kyler Murray. Makes sense. Matt Ryan's been benched. Dak is, reprising a back-end quarterback one role right now. But
I do like Dak a lot. That offense is finally getting relatively healthy. Zeke's obviously banged up, but Pollard should always be playing. But Dallas is they're gonna surprise some people with their scoring output now. But Dak finally healthy.
Then it gets a little interesting because you got this tier of quarterbacks basically that to me stretches from Jimmy Garoppolo all the way down to Lamar Jackson. We talked about Lamar and where the upside's been with him and how he's kind of in a little bit of a lull here, which has him firmly in premium tier streamer status over the last few weeks. Not an insult. You're not changing how you use Lamar because if his floor is high teens, you're fine with that week in and week out because of what his ceiling is. But Jimmy Garoppolo, close to 18 a game, Taylor Heineke, Trevor Lawrence, Andy Dalton, Daniel Jones, Marcus Mariota, Geno Smith, all also kind of in that same points per game range right now. So there's definitely a glut of matchups and streaming QBs you can play, especially as trade deadlines hit. Don't necessarily feel like you have to go out and, make a significant upgrade there. You shouldn't anyway in single QB, but there's a glut of guys that I just listed that are probably on their waivers and you can play matchup with.
Yeah. I mean, that's, just like you said, if you're playing in, in one QB leagues and you don't have one of those top tiers and you weren't able to pick up Fields a few weeks ago when we told you to, there's no issue streaming those guys. None at all.
Right. Some other guys you need to change opinion on right now. Aaron Rodgers falls right behind that tier. He is firmly a low end streamer right now. As is Tom Brady, who falls almost a full point per game below what Rodgers is. To put it into perspective, Brady is a 1/10 of a point ahead of Davis Mills right now. And they're both
I'm not
ahead.
shocked.
And Russell Wilson is right there with Davis Mills right now. So, those three guys that you expected to be good, you can stream people over them, if not outright drop them and use them as streamers with Wilson, Brady, and Rodgers.
I'm not shocked about Rodgers. Obviously, if you've been listening to the show long enough, I've been pretty off of the Packers passing game. So Rodgers was always a fave for me. Wilson obviously shocks all of us, just given, I think, the collective pounding of the table for him in that Denver offense with all the weapons he had. And Brady, I think we're just so accustomed to him being a top 10 quarterback, especially in points per game, that we didn't really, I'm not saying that we missed the bottom falling out because that's what's happened, but I think we kind of just grew numb to the fact that Father Time always wins, and
right. And it
finally hit
shit
Brady.
that he's had going on too. So, look, everybody jokes about it, but that's not something.
I'm sure, yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure that is something that is legitimately weighing on Tom Brady as a person and a human being. He does get the Seahawks this week. Does have matchups remaining against the Cardinals, Bengals, and Panthers and Falcons, which are solid. So you do have some streaming options for Tom Brady, but there's some equally bad matchups in there as well. Rodgers, we talked about the lack of playmakers. I don't really foresee a situation where I'm like, look, he gave you absolutely floor against the Jets, who have a good pass defense now, but I just don't see a situation. Hell, the Lions he didn't do a lot against.
The Lions, three interceptions. Haven't done that in a long fucking time.
So I just don't see a situation where Aaron Rodgers, somebody that I'm running out there and wanna hold on to or anything like that. If we're doing okay,
I'd drop him and let somebody else off name alone. Right?
Yeah, that would be my cut. If we were gonna do keep trade cut with this, the Broncos had matchups remaining against Raiders, Panthers, Ravens, Chiefs, Rams, Cardinals, Chiefs again, Chargers. Overall, like their schedule more than Brady's. And I think Wilson's been shit on in the media so much that his trade value is going to be non-existent. Let's call it in a super flex league. So if we're doing keep, trade, cut on these three, I'm cutting Rodgers, I'm keeping Wilson, I'm trading Brady. You're probably not going to get much, but just that's the best way. I mean, we could do kill, marry, fuck, but
the best way to look at KTC is if someone says keep, that's their one, trade, that's their two, cut, that's their three. You're not going to be able, like, even in a super flex league,
you're probably not trading Brady for much.
You probably wouldn't get much for Rodgers because there's no upside to him. Brady, you could probably get some on there because one would assume based on the weapons they have that maybe they turn it around, and that's such a throw happy offense that it doesn't matter about game script. But Wilson has the matchups, right? It's got the game total matchups coming up. If Denver believes they're going to make the playoffs, and they just they just hurt their defense by trading away Bradley Chubb, that does not help their defense any. So maybe there's some wiggle room with some of that. So, but I agree, right? I keep Wilson, I trade Brady, and I cut Rodgers like 10,000 times.
Yep.
I cut him. We got a question here.
Go for it.
Some Swavey JP. Welcome back, brother. I think you were supposed to be our moderator, if I'm not mistaken, but it's all right. You got to offer JT for Jeff Wilson and Mecole Hardman. That might be the quickest. I mean, I'm assuming this is redraft league. That's still a very quick smash. Yes, take that.
Yeah, take JT, absolutely. Especially with news that he's practicing.
Yeah, this is there's a pretty famous trade that happened today from some Twitter figured he proclaimedly said he traded away Lamar or Justin Fields and Jonathan Taylor for Dameon Pierce while he had Lamar Jackson, who's on a bye this week. The JT shit, yeah, he got flamed as he should.
The JT wave right now is a lot of people burned by where you drafted him, but he should be he should be a buy, especially, they gave him some time to heal up. He should be getting healthy. They just had the OC change. He's still going to be a big part of that offense, and you are not finding running backs on the waiver right now. So if you can get waiver wire right now, there's not a better lottery ticket out there if you can get him on the cheap. He's a much better lottery ticket than Travis Homer, who was the guy staring at me on most of my waiver wires this week. So,
yeah, it's thanks, man. Appreciate you, Slavey. It's the JT hate's real. Though I saw someone did a poll on Dynasty RB1s. I think it was Ryan. It was either Ryan or somebody did, and JT still had top picks for Dynasty RB1. So maybe the hate isn't as strong in Dynasty, but in redraft, especially as Hopper mentioned earlier on, he's kind of burned you if you took him at the 101 because he's barely played. And when he has played, the Colts offense has been so bad that he has been as effective. But I think Matt Ryan's going to get his shot back. I think the Sam Ehlinger fiasco show it's gonna crash and burn after the bye week as long as Matt Ryan's healthy, I guess.
Yeah, and he just returned to practice, so I think this is probably the last week you're gonna see the Ehlinger experiment.
Please end it for the love of God.
All right, looking at the running back side of things, there's some guys that you weren't necessarily thinking of must starts when you drafted them that are now absolutely going to be every week must starts, and they're named Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne, and, well, right now, Tony Pollard and Ramondre Stevenson, all sitting in that top 12 over the last 4 weeks and giving you very, very consistent, very, very consistent performance. I should probably sort this by PPR, but I don't think it's going to change anything all that much, and it doesn't. Walker's.
I mean, maybe
Tony
Etienne
Pollard
goes up a little bit
there.
higher.
Etienne did, Stevenson did, and Walker came down a little bit, but they're all still up in that top 12. So That's the first takeaway. Saquon Barkley is right outside of that. He's cooled off a little bit the last couple weeks, but
bye week also doesn't help.
I'm sorting by points per game though, so
Mm.
I'm not doing total
Giants
counts.
also doesn't help.
The Giants offense
I'm
is
kidding.
Daniel Jones is down right now too. The Giants offense is obviously cooling off.
They played against better teams,
Yeah.
and in some cases worse teams. That's gonna not have them throw more, which is obviously the big upside for running backs if they can catch passes.
Yeah, that doesn't make him a sit. Kenyon Drake right now, given his recent performance, I think that you have to consider him pretty much as an RB2 every week until Dobbins is healthy. He's locked that up. Aaron Jones is right there in that realm, and that's an interesting one because you probably drafted him a lot higher.
I think he was a bit of a value, but I mean, it's the inconsistent usage. It's the up and down in terms of variance from Dylan. So sometimes it's hard to predict where Jones is going to fall into, and the fact that Green Bay's offense just can't produce points. We have a pussy on your shoulder.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh my God, that's so adorable. And now the cat's gone. No, it's not. I get to see my little fur ball tomorrow when I get home.
Anyway, some other guys here. Dameon Pierce is still solid. The problem with Pierce is that there hasn't been any touchdown upside because of the offense that he plays in. So while his yardage is good, he doesn't catch passes, and the touchdown upside isn't there. So that's kind of capped his floor a little bit. Some guys that need to go the other way here. Leonard Fournette is trending down. And that's something that, as a Fournette manager, you have to be very, very aware of. Pretty much even split with Rashad White. We've seen the Bucs go completely away from the running game, and you really need to watch his involvement in the receiving game because over the last 3 to 4 weeks, that's the only thing that's been saving Leonard Fournette. And if that starts to drop in favor of Rashad White, after we just saw it in the 50-50 split and with some of the, what's been in the media, not going to be good for him. So he's not somebody you have to start every week right now.
No, we got another question. So appreciate you guys throwing in the questions here. Super CNB challengers. I believe first time I've seen the name pop in there. So welcome. Big boy trade here offer he just got. So you just got offered Amon-Ra St. Brown and Travis Kelce. He has to give up Devontae Adams and Chris Olave. In the meantime, until he gets Mike Williams and Jamar Chase back, he could play Josh Palmer, Pickens, and Mecole. What do you think about this trade? St. Brown and Kelce. He's given up Adams and Chris Olave, it's been a high 2 in that Saints offense. And Adams, we know who Adams is. Obviously, Amon-Ra.
Good,
little bit slower. Little bit of a slow comeback since the injuries and the fact that the Lions offense is really cooled down. So his top jump, but Travis Kelce is pretty much a wide receiver 1 anyways. And you get the massive positional value for him. I think I do it. I think I can. I'm not sure who his tight end is, but I don't think it really matters unless you have like a Mark Andrews or something. But even then, you can just flex him. Not this week, obviously, he's on bye, but I think I'd be okay giving up a little bit of my floor in Olave and Adams and being able to play, Palmer, who's the one, Pickens, who has his role, and Mecole, who has been for a gadget player.
Sorry, for a minute because my dumb cat just got himself stuck in a keg.
He got stuck in a keg? I didn't think I fucking hear that thing ever in my fucking lifetime. All right, so again, I'd do the Amon-Ra and Kelce trade for sure. Just with how good Kelce's been, I think you can kind of wait mainly for Chase to come back. Mike Williams he'll be fine, but you're booming Chase with Amon-Ra, who I think could get back to going with no Hawkins in there too. As for the other question, buddy, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be able to pronounce your name. I ain't gonna butcher it. Would you trade T. Higgins and Fournette for Josh Jacobs? This one's a bit tough. Jacobs has cooled down quite a bit. Is he still stuck in his keg?
No, I got him out. He
Okay.
climbed on top of one of the Pinlock kegs that I have because when I'm done with the keg,
Jesus.
I rinse
Yeah.
them out. I don't fully clean them until I go to use them again, but I rinse all the gunk out of them and everything, get all the gross debris off, and then they sit down next to the keezer. And I don't keep the lids on them so they can dry out and don't get all gross and anything. So I was climbing on top of it, and he slid through the hole. And then when I laid it down so he could walk out, he didn't want to get out. He's like, nope, this is home now.
Oh my God. All right. We got another trade question too.
Okay. I'm sorry on that.
No. You're
Sorry
good.
on that last one. I probably would. I would prefer the Adams Olave side, I think.
Okay.
Just because, yeah, you get a lot of positional disparity with Kelsey, but I think I like the combination of, look, I don't need to get the wide receiver one in Kelsey. I've already got a wide receiver one in Adams, and I've got I think I like Olave's offense and role a little bit more than I like ARSB's. So I think the trade's fair.
It's
I will
absolutely
say that.
fair.
I do think that the trade is balanced. So yeah, and I can absolutely see the allure. I'm never the type really that goes after the elite tier tight ends. I'd rather balance out the rest of my lineups, and that's a position I pretty well feel I can figure out and compete with most of the league. But Kelsey definitely is a difference maker, and I certainly see the allure of that. Anyway, next trade question.
T. Higgins and Leonard Fournette for Josh Jacobs. He's asking, would you move Higgins Fournette for Jacobs? Jacobs has really cooled off since the explosion weeks 4 through 7. He's been a back in RB2. Higgins, I think there's a little bit of a drop off without Jamar Chase, as Higgins is generally just more of he benefits so much from soft coverage and the attention that Chase gives him.
Yeah, not getting top corners.
This is, if you are in dire need of a running back, I don't think I hate this. Running back, as we often mention on the show, the running back depth is super hard to get and keep. And when you think you have it, it's gone because injuries can just derail the position that only plays one on a field at a time. So I think I'm okay with this. I would try to maybe reach up a little higher than Jacobs, but I understand the allure after 3 straight weeks with 30 plus points in full PPR leagues. Raiders offense is just in disarray. Now, no Darren Waller, no Hunter Renfrow. Jacobs' involvement in the passing game could increase.
Probably will.
Routes run have been the same every week. He's been hovering right in that 15 to 20 range. It's just the offense is going to suffer. You lose two you lose key playmakers. He says he still has Mixon and Henry, and he doesn't like having the team stack of Higgins and Mixon on the same team. Which I'll be honest with you, man, don't make a difference.
Yeah,
the Bengals are an elite offense. You only have 2 of them. It's not going to hurt you too much. But
yeah, I think that's okay. I get it. But if you don't, I get it, and go ahead and make the deal. I mean, I think that Jacobs has RB2 floor. Obviously, with upside, you go, a pretty decent 3 deep at running back in that scenario. So, I get it.
You can eat maybe this quiet stretch of Jacobs a little bit more especially with Henry, and he's being back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
Mixon, I think Mixon would have been the guy to trade after the blowout week.
Right.
Maybe see if you can move Mixon for one of those elite, for like a Barkley or something.
Yeah, I think if I'm of the opinion that I don't want both Bengals, and that Higgins, Higgins' value is going to be what it is, and Fournette's is going the other direction, then, yeah, you can make the deal.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
I would.
We
If
give
I'm
you.
putting myself in your shoes, I would do it.
We're giving you all the confidence in the world to smash that accept button.
Yep.
But don't yell at us when Jacobs doesn't do much.
If that doesn't
I'm
go
kidding.
well.
Yeah. I don't want any problems.
I don't
I'm
either.
kidding.
All right. Trending the other direction, Antonio Gibson has started to get his role back. Like they found out Brian Robinson wasn't going to come in and be a world changer at running back, and so Gibson's getting back involved in the not just the receiving game, but also the run game, and has also flashed a little bit of chunk ability. So he, has regained at least RB2/streamer considerations most weeks. Najee Harris, wrong direction.
Yeah, and in fact that there's now been a buzz about potentially Jalen Warren. Now the rumors got shot down fairly quickly, and maybe this is just a team leaking out some shit to kind of maybe draw up a little bit of anger from Harris, who is he's not had a 20+ yard run this whole season.
No, that's not good.
No, especially when volume isn't carrying you. You gotta get some efficiency, some explosiveness, which has not been his game. So it's he's been firmly on your bench for a while and will remain there.
Couple other things, Raheem Mostert back to earth a little bit now that Jeff Wilson's there. They pretty evenly split. So something else to keep an eye on as his stock trends down. We talked about Jonathan Taylor trending up, getting healthy. Devin Singletary is also right around the 10-point a game mark, which is right where guys like Khalil Herbert, Michael Carter, Latavius Murray are. So he had a hot stretch there for a little bit, but he's also cooled off here recently, and you consider that matchup dependent basically.
I don't even think with now the addition of Nyheim Hines, you need a true on true game script, and Buffalo is not. They're not a heavy run team. They're still a throw to run. They're still just they're built a lot like Kansas City, where you would think in a heavy game script situation where it would favor a Devin Singletary, they'll opt to throw regardless. So be very cautious with Singletary moving forward. Do not sleep on the Nyheim Hines trade.
Yep.
And he's back.
For Singletary,
I'm back.
No rushing touchdowns, just the one receiving touchdown, and only 3 games of double-digit runs. So,
God, Josh Allen is fucking everything. Like even in a bad week for him, I'm just gonna take Singletary's rushing touchdowns. It's okay.
The other side of this, let's go ahead and look at wide receivers. So, trending up over the last couple weeks, AJ Brown is the wide receiver 3 in points per game over that time frame. He's been doing really, really well. DeAndre Hopkins has put himself right back in that top 5 since coming back. Juju Smith-Schuster at 6.
Oh yeah.
I've been acquiring him everywhere, and while it's been all floor, I'm telling you, 8 targets plus a game when it's just him and Kelsey.
Yeah, and
a touchdown blows him up. I love it.
It hasn't been all floor though. 200+ yard games with a tutty. That's better than floor.
Yeah,
he had floor game last week with 10 for 88 and no tutties, but even 10 really receptions and full really PPR is also really good. It's not just been all floor for him. He has floor, which is what you want, but the upside's what's really started to show the last couple weeks for Juju.
It's almost like he's getting familiar in this offense. Go out and trade for Juju if your deadline hasn't passed yet. I'm telling you, go out and trade for him.
It's going to be worth it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Brandon Ayuk is up there.
Is he?
Yeah, he's top 10 in points per game. I got to see if that's one.
I feel so. I mean, he had that 25 point game a few weeks. I think it was the McCaffrey game.
Check this out. Brandon Ayuk last 3 games. Now, Debo has been banged up, but last 3 games, 8 receptions, 11 targets, 83 yards, 2 touchdowns, 7 receptions, 11 targets, 82 yards, no touchdowns, 6 receptions on 6 targets, 81 yards, and a touchdown for Brandon Ayuk.
McCaffrey does help open up that offense a little bit, and more of their, I guess, traditional receiver. and Ayuk is getting the benefactory from from our favorite sexy quarterback Garoppolo.
Plus, I think was it Debo was out that one game, that last game.
Yeah, Debo will be back too, so just something to think about. McCole Hardman, a lot of people are hard-minning over that. 3 straight touchdowns. Touchdowns are fluky. He's really
still a
only
gadget
had
player.
one game where the target volume has supported that, so a little bit of fool's gold there, I think, with McCole.
I'm
I
gonna
still like the
pull up-
MVS. I'm
You're
still waiting for that
chasing
one
Boom
like
for
MVS,
sure,
like
yeah.
that 1 3 touchdown game where he gets like 200 yards.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about Miko too. It's been 41 snap share, 62 snap share, 60% snap here.
Not
He ran
great.
40. Excuse me. He ran 45 routes last week. That's nearly double the highest he's ran all season in a game in which Casey had to come back and battle from against Tennessee. So you have a low route running wide receiver who does not generate targets. 5, 4, and 4 was his targets before this past Sunday night, where he had 9. You need to move Miko Hardman, move him, and
sell
get
him.
someone who's a little more consistent, and at least is on the field. For this, he's just a gadget player, so be careful.
I'd buy low almost on Devontae Smith right now with that if you can. Because a lot of people are kind of hating on Devontae Smith because he hasn't done anything since earlier in the season, but he's been on the field quite a bit.
You know what I say about snap share?
It's about what you get with it, but
Yeah.
you really can't get a lot of stuff if you're not on the field.
That's true. And sometimes, like with Devonta Smith, you don't get a lot of stuff when you are on the field. He doesn't give a fuck about your fantasy team either.
No, he does not. We got thoughts on players question. So we just talked about Miko.
Yeah, we did.
It's from Swavey. So he's got
Yeah.
questions on his 7-2 roster.
Okay.
So, all right, no, I'm sorry. This is a trade question. I thought it was a player. All right. So the question looks to be a bunch of depth players for JT and Keenan Allen. So you have Jeff Wilson, Mecole Hardman, Jalen Warren, AJ Dillon for JT and Keenan Allen.
Okay, why
I
not?
have no idea what Keenan's situation is, but I'm 7-2 looking towards the playoffs. We have you want to go in the chat real quick? I go in the chat.
Huh?
We're getting spammed. Unless you want to get some hot girl action going. I mean, at least it's not
3 times.
That's where I could find them. If you're making that trade, if you can get away with that trade, Suavi, I take it. I don't know who would make that trade.
69.biz.
It sounds like a bowling league.
Yeah, Turkey.
It's like perfect 10.
if you're looking to move JT and Keenan Allen, I would not move them for those guys. You're just basically trying to shore up depth when you're about to get JT back.
Rick London touchdown.
Oh, nice.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So again, Jeff Wilson, Mecole Hardman, Jalen Warren, and AJ Dillon.
If you can make that trade, I would certainly do it and get rid of. Depth is what gets you to the playoffs, and upside's what wins you championships. And Keenan Allen working his way back, you might not get an immediate return on that. Jonathan Taylor, I think you will. You're gonna improve upside that way, and I think that's exactly the transition you make.
Well, hold on, he's got an update. So he said the guy he's trading with would take Jeff Wilson and Mecole Hardman for Jonathan Taylor.
Then I would just
That's
do
an
that.
automatic yes.
I'm telling you, man, I appreciate you. Just
This is the ultimate sell high.
This is
the
Sean,
ultimate sell high on Hardman too. You're getting rid of a running
account.
Yeah, you're getting a running back that has, a 50% snap share in Jeff Wilson, who, people are losing their shit over it, dude. It's not like Wilson blew up. He just had value. And Hardman is, like I said, I think that he's fool's gold. It's the only, you're coming off the only game this year where he's gotten some form of target volume that would sustain that performance. Sure, 3 straight touchdowns, but that you don't bet on that. That's fluky.
No.
You trade for the running back. He's going to have an
Always.
entire backfield to himself. He's got no pass catching back there to actually take anything away. Zach Mott's ain't going to do shit. Deion Jackson's hurt, and a undrafted free agent who had one good game in JT's absence.
Yeah.
You take it and run, and
Yep.
you hope that JT can stay healthy and that the Colts don't completely implode with whatever the fuck they're doing with their coaching staff.
But yeah, if he's willing to give up Keenan, I'd do that too.
So the owner likes Jeff Wilson.
Okay.
And that's
Good.
fine. Hey,
Take advantage of that.
Dude's team's 3-6. Maybe there's a reason for it, but hey, if he likes Jeff Wilson, let him have Jeff Wilson.
Yeah.
Why not?
If he didn't like you, when he's 3-6, he ain't gonna like you when he's 3-7.
Yes. What the fuck, guys? God, Jonathan Taylor sucks.
All right.
He
A
does
couple
suck.
other trending up things. Alan Lazard, Jerry Jeudy, Christian Kirk, all kind of sitting there in the higher wide receiver 2 range. Kirk's been a little up and down. But, really want to look at some of the guys that you should pull off of here before we get into game previews. So trending down, Michael Pittman. I think that Pittman was kind of a darling in the offseason for what you might get, especially with Matt Ryan. And then you kind of saw flashes of that upside that people wanted to be there, but he hasn't got a touchdown since week 1. 58, 53, and 22 yards over the last 3 weeks. Bad offense, uncertain quarterback situation. He's back to being matchup dependent, I think. I mean, the floor's definitely there, but it's like Jacoby Myers before this year type of floor.
Just for the love of God, give us Matt Ryan. Just
Yes, please.
Just like I don't know why you benched him. I don't know why you couldn't just blame it on the injury. But for the love of God, Sam Ehlinger fucking sucks. Let him go. Just
I didn't get
him
it.
away. Wash away from it. It's because it's Jim Irsay. I'm sure Jim Irsay has something to do with it.
Chris Godwin is the most disappointing I'm getting double-digit targets receiver ever, I think.
It's been so... I don't get it, man.
12,
He's still looking for his first touchdown too, though,
12,
right?
13, 11, 10 over the last 4 weeks. He's had 0 touchdowns, no 100-yard games.
Yeah, that's horrible. That whole offense isn't clicking, though, either. I think it should hopefully start clicking this weekend.
Here's a thing that clicks. Terrace Marshall with a big play.
Hooray. Go,
I guess I should be happy. No one literally wanted to buy him at his complete bottoming out. So I have a lot of Terrace Marshall in various places that are now, I guess, paying off. Should probably trade him in places.
Maybe.
But anyways, I mean, he's basically, he wasn't free, but he's still very much. But Godwin, yeah, going back to Godwin, he's 85 plus snap share, runs a bunch of routes, gets double-digit targets, as you said. 6 or 7 catches, that's what you're getting from him.
You keep wanting it to come, but it's all been floor. Jesus.
It's just shooting blanks over there, buddy.
Terrible.
He's catching nothing. He's trying to catch something, but he's catching nothing.
Another guy that's been a little bit down is Amon-Ra on a points per game basis. He's also a guy that is getting 9-10 targets, but no touchdowns since the first 2 weeks of the season. Yeah, he was hurt, but he's been right around that mid-range again, just like Godwin. You know who else is right there? Donovan Peoples-Jones, and you can get him off your waiver wire.
I got Donovan Peoples-Jones in my lineup this week.
I do too.
Ryan, is there any word that's not gotten out a bunch from the Detroit beat writers about St. Brown? Is he still hurt of some sort? Try to explain why he's been slow to get back to.
No, like he's been
playing from him.
He looks fine on Sunday. Like when I watched him on Sunday against the Packers, he looked just fine. It was just the way the whole script was going. They were trying to more ground and pound it than they were trying to pass it.
I mean, I think that's what Dan Campbell kind of wants to do. I mean, 93, 94 snap share, but only 33 and 26 routes run. They're just not, they're not passing as, I mean, I guess they should be passing more, but
they're not.
He's a good buy low. He's a good
targets.
buy low player right now if you can get him. I think he's going to take off here again.
I mean, that'd be nice.
Yeah,
I need him. I need you.
Godwin could be, as well, but yeah.
He's a trade target. Amari Cooper's a trade target.
Tight end wise, George Kittle's back thanks to Jimmy G. He's right behind Travis Kelce in points per game, and they're both well clear of the next two, which are Dallas Goedert and Pat Freiermuth. So
things you love to see.
Greg Dulcich, Zach Ertz round out the top 5. Oh, yay! Dalton Schultz also reprising his role as a mid-tier tight end one now that he's healthy.
Just stay healthy.
Yes, please.
So. All right, that's going to do it for our check-in. If you have players that you want opinions on, please throw them out there. We try to trip into, as many as we can throughout just doing these statistical reviews, looking for things that jump out, and even as we go through game previews. But if there's somebody you're interested in thoughts on just for the rest of the season, just, let us know, or recent performance or anything like that. We're more than happy to dive into it. What do you think, Dan? You want to get game previews going, or do you want to go ahead and hit a beer review before we do it?
No, let's do a beer review, and then we'll jump in these previews. They should start going a little bit quicker now.
Beer review.
Go ahead, whoever wants to start.
All right, because I'm almost done here. Again, I'm drinking Narrow Gauge's OJ Run. OJ Run is a hazy Imperial IPA, clocks in at 8.6. They list the grains here. So Golden Promise 2-row, and they use oak flakes, which is what gives it a fuller, creamier body to it. That doesn't make you feel so, full. Hops are Citra, Galaxy, Amarillo, and Apollo. This is pretty much if did you just spill your beer?
Maybe.
Oh my god, Jesus fucking Christ. Anyways, so I'm fucking just sitting my head in disgrace. So sad for my hosts. Anyways, this is a hazy IPA. Full and through. This is a little more creamier, fuller body hazy because of the oak flakes that are being used. Narrow Gauge is considered one of the better hazy IPA breweries in the Midwest. If you're ever out in Missouri, highly recommend, if you like hazies, which I'm sure most people do, as it's still a very growing category, picks them up.
Is it very tropical?
Yeah, I mean it's
like all hazies.
It's a hazy, yeah. Deontay Foreman touchdown too, by the way. It's Hopper in and out, spilling his beer. 12-yard touchdown. Dang. Ryan, go ahead.
So I had Brewdog Elvis Juice. It's a grapefruit infused IPA. It is very grapefruity because that's all I can taste in it for an IPA. It comes in at 6.5%, and very tasty. It's very light on the mouth, like very good taste. It holds the flavor too, which is quite interesting because usually I feel like when I drink most IPAs, it kind of like that aftertaste isn't there as long. Where this one kind of holds it a lot longer and I actually like it a lot more. And about ready to go grab a second one. That's how good it is.
Damn you, Deontay Foreman.
It is a good beer. It is a grapefruit IPA. And IPA hops generally, especially using fruitier IPAs, it's going to be the primary fruit taken from. So
yeah, I mean
that's why it feels so much. Yeah, that's why it feels so much like a kick you in the teeth with grapefruit.
Yeah, it's like from front to back.
So how does that computer desk beer taste now?
I still have some left in it. For an oatmeal stout, it definitely hit the body right. It had the creaminess that I'd expect. My cat is down here smelling this too. It had the creaminess I would expect to it. Great body, definitely roasty without being over bitter. There's definitely hints of chocolate and coffee like I'd expect out of a darker beer, but it didn't overdo it at all. It definitely wasn't astringent by any means. Almost a little light on the roast for a stout. Kind of borders on porter a little more. So kind of barely a stout, but overall, yeah, they did a really good job with it. With oatmeal stouts, you are going for creamier, maybe a little bit on the sweeter side. Not so much, expecting it to stand up to things like bourbon or that. There's some people that do really good ones. Maplewood has, I think it's Fat Pug, which is a pretty good oatmeal stout. Then they do a variant on that with brownie points, and this is right up there with that. So, Triptych, once again, proving they do more than just IPA as well.
Sounds pretty good.
How's that for off the cuff while I'm also trying to clean up a freaking mess?
Dude, that's quite multitasking there. That was great.
It's all Deonta Foreman's fault. I was celebrating a Deonta Foreman touchdown because I have been going in so many different places. And when I did the fist pump, I hit the glass.
I'm looking at a still photo of a very wide open DJ Moore that is completely missed by PJ Walker. But I'm happy because I saw
that also upsets me, but my Foreman chairs are fine.
Either way, happiness ensued. All right, as you keep cleaning up, we'll start game previews. All right,
I'm cleaned up. I'm good.
We have the Germany game here. This one starts at 11:30 Central, so 10:30 your time, Ryan.
So it's not a full blown
12:30 your time. Yeah, so it's a true on true early game, just a half an hour early for the folks out there. So we'll jump into the bets here, and then we'll get her fucking moving. Tampa Bay 2.5-point favorites, technically the home team out there in Germany. We don't really know what to expect from this. We don't know if it's going to be like London or if it's going to be something normal. Seattle has covered 4 straight games and 5 out of their last 6. I will take Seattle in the points. I need to see Tampa Bay being able to confidently, not only win games but cover games. So I will. I'll ride the Seattle Geno Smith train here to another hopeful cover here. The over under is at 44.5. Just take Seattle in the points.
Okay, I'm back. What are we talking about? Germany.
Seattle, Tampa. Yes.
Seattle, Tampa.
Yeah. So, if ever there were a get-right game for the Bucs, this is probably one of them. This is not a game for Seattle. Like, the last time I faded Geno Smith, it bit me. I think you fade Geno Smith in this one because Tampa's defense is the reason that they're in games right now. You fade Lockett because he's been tailing off for the last couple weeks anyway. And even Metcalf in this one's a little iffy. Kenneth Walker, there's no way you can sit him right now. But I'm generally going to ride a fade train on Seattle. And I think that if there's any point where you can expect the Bucs to get right, this is it. And they have to. You've been fine with Mike Evans. Chris Godwin, we mentioned, he's getting double-digit targets. He's not what you drafted, but you'll still take double-digit targets out of a wide receiver too, pretty much any game. And then from there, we're going to be watching the Fournette-Rachaad White thing close. I think Fournette gets one more shot after getting riled up and, that leaking in the media, but I don't think he's going to have it all to himself. It's kind of one more week of wait and see. If you have to start Fournette, you're fine. If you have to start White, I think it's going to be pretty 50-50 in this one. And it is a plus matchup there. So I guess for the Bucs, you could term it as full go, but kind of a cautious one. Like, you're more so using them to give your lineup some floor, given what they've been, and you're hoping there's some boom there given the matchup. Seattle's a pretty big fade for me this week against that defense. So that defense is the only reason Tampa Bay's been in games.
All right. DFS-wise, the only thing I could pull was just a showdown. And they have Mike Evans at the top at 15,900. So they must be really feeling a big Tom Brady game coming. Also because he's the player number 4. just behind Geno Smith at 15,000. But if you're like you're saying, Hopper, about going with White, he's at 7,500 compared to Leonard Fournette's 11.7. So that's pretty good value there at that one. But I also wouldn't mind even sprinkling the Buccaneers defense on this because I like, just like how you said, Hop, how good they've been playing. I feel like this is a get right game for them also, and kind of hopefully blow them out. They come in at 6,600.
Yeah, it's kind of a floor defense too, where they just don't give up a lot of points. So yeah, if you're waiver hunting, Bucs probably aren't on waivers, but it's not a situation where you think of them as a high sack or high interception team. But especially in leagues where you get a baseline for points allowed, that's where the Bucs usually benefit you.
And it looks like Cameron Brate's back at full practice, so maybe the Kate Otten experiment might be over.
All right. But it's probably the game of the week.
Really?
Especially if Josh Allen can play. Vikings, Bills. Bills 3.5-point favorites at home. This line to me suggests that Josh Allen is not going to play. I think Buffalo. I think they opened the line. I think when the line opened up last week, they were, I want to say, 9-point favorites, maybe slightly under. That's dropped down to now just 3.5. That's a massive drop that is going to generally be because of Josh Allen. I think once we get the Case Keenum call as sees the actual start, I can see this being a little bit closer to a pick 'em, maybe slightly get Buffalo the edge at maybe 2.5. But I'm still taking Minnesota. Bias in me all I want, but we don't know what this Buffalo team's. Last week was rough. The defense is absolutely legit, and they're getting healthy. And yes, Case Keenum is definitely is competent enough, and this is a revenge game for Diggs, blah blah, this, that, and the other. But Minnesota is just, they know how to win these type of games, and now we're gonna see if this team's actually legit or if they can just beat up on bad teams. But I'll take Minnesota, and the over under is at 43, and I'll take the over because I think it's going to be close. And regardless of who's quarterbacking Buffalo, they have enough weapons to keep this game script moving. So Minnesota 3.5 and the over.
All right, we'll start with the Vikings, and they've been pretty chalked. There's not been a whole lot of cuteness out of that group. It's been Cook, it's been J. Jeff, Thielen's been, kind of a 50-yard wide receiver 3 that has some touchdown upside. You haven't really gotten any boom out of Adam Thielen this year, but there has absolutely been some floor there. If you're in a situation to play him, I think that's going to be fine. For Hawk, another week to get the offense under his belt, you're full go on that.
9 targets on just 3 days.
On 3 days, yeah, they're gonna use him.
He might be a tight end. He might be the tight end 2 after it's all said and done. Just if that's the usage that we should expect.
Right. Now, the flip side of this, because 2 teams playing football games, that's my takeaway on this.
How it works.
For the Bills, look, nobody's going to pretend that Case Keenum's Josh Allen, but Case Keenum as a passer, I think is, he doesn't quite have the arm, but is still competent. He has rapport with Diggs. You're absolutely not fading Diggs. And, this is a matchup where I would typically have leaned towards a Gabe Davis play. He's been down the last couple weeks. And I still think that you can do that for Buffalo. I don't think missing Josh Allen changes that much what you do with Buffalo, because I think it's just those 2. Singletary, we talked about coming in, has not been utilized a whole lot. You don't have a lot of clarity in that running game right now. Dawson Knox hasn't been a factor for most of the season, unless you get lucky enough for him to catch a touchdown. This game should be high scoring and close enough to where I think you can play Gabe Davis, and you're totally fine with Diggs on this one. So just roll with it. There's nothing cutesy to get into here either.
I'll be surprised to see, how the deep ball game goes for Buffalo, just given how good Minnesota's pass rush is. The fact that Case really isn't the escape artist, doesn't have the downfield touch. Maybe we'll get to see Davis utilized more, in the intermediate game, because I fully expect Diggs to get shadow coverage the entire game. I don't think Minnesota wants to have Diggs beat them. I think you may see, the similar coverage to what KC did to Buffalo in the playoffs last year, and force Buffalo to beat them with somebody else. And this is that moment for Davis to step up again, but he doesn't have Josh Allen this time. So we'll see how that looks.
Cam Dantzler, your outside corner too, or your nickel normally?
I think he's our outside. He be opposite of Patterson, but his backup's far better.
Yeah,
the Dancer, Dancer's been a liability this year.
Dancer's been hurt too, and he's out. So
it's the Vikings defense has been making plays, not as bad as people think they are, but this is their true test.
They've quietly been pretty good. This is a big test, and the thing with Davis, you got to set your lineup to be able to take what you've got in the last 2 weeks too by playing him in this game, and if you get 6 points out of him, you've got to have upside elsewhere for that to not kill you, because you are taking a little bit of a gamble here. He's definitely got upside, but the thing with Davis that Dan mentions a lot is that there is boom bust to that game, and you could end up with a 6-point floor. That's the word of caution. I like the upside. You have to use upside in a calculated fashion, and Case Keenum potentially starting this instead of Josh Allen is not enough to pull me off of what I thought about this matchup for that upside, but we'll see.
DJ Moore headed to the locker room with an apparent head injury.
Oh fucking boy. Fantastic.
He's done for the day or night.
And now he said he's been cleared to return. Why the fuck would you post that?
Oh, good.
All right, Ryan, DFS.
I was thinking like Justin Jefferson would be like a hell of a play, because even though like the opposition rank shows him 12th, the whole entire defense of the Bills is pretty well like not fully there. They're not fully healthy. You're still missing Jordan Poyer.
Banged up.
They're going to get White. They're going to get White back this week. I think he's finally set it to return from his ACL tear last year. So the number one defensive back, I think, should be
back.
Hell of a test to draw Justin Jefferson week. Your first game back.
First game back from an ACL tear. Yeah, that's.
Sorry, I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, blow the dust off on that.
Maybe keep me on IR for another week. Let me ease into this a little bit.
Hold on.
Well, that's just it too. Like, could he get hurt again? Could we see some type of different play?
He's gonna hurt his knee. He's gonna roll up on his knee very gently.
It's gonna be a hamstring, because that's always what it is when somebody's coming off of
always
an ACL.
Hamstring. Yeah. All right. Look at that.
Aww.
Was that cute or what?
Yeah,
I guess. Torts and Dorbs, bro.
Yeah, we're good on that.
That's it? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I mean, Hop pretty much nailed everything on it. So I thought I'd throw a couple questions out there on it.
Threw him off his game.
His wife was just like, I gotta embarrass him on camera. Let's go to the potentially highest game of the week, potentially. Lions Bears.
Rawr.
Bears are 3-point favorites at home. 48.5 is the game total. Chicago's been riding this scoring hot streak, 32, 29, and 33 points scored the past 3 games. Obviously, all accounts suggest it feels blowing up with this top 5 QB finishes during that range. Detroit's offense just kind of stalled. They did put 27 points up against Miami, but maybe Miami's defense just isn't as good as people think they are, because they keep getting scored on
they're not
consistently. No. So if you take away, I hate saying this, but if you take away the Miami game, 9 points, 6 points, and 0 points is what Detroit scored.
The good news is the Bears defense has been pretty atrocious ever since those trades went down too. Now Detroit doesn't have the firepower of a Dallas or a Miami who scored for the Bears defense, but still.
Yes. So again, maybe a sneaky shootout. Maybe a sneaky sloppy shootout. In terms of betting, I take Chicago and the points. I have no issue here. I'm gonna ride this uptick in offense and the fact that Detroit doesn't really have one right now. I think you can see them easily to score enough points to just kind of ease on to a comfortable win. And I'll take the over because I like points. That's why.
Love points.
I also like points. Look, absolutely a Justin Fields game. You're absolutely good with Darnell Mooney. Bears want to run the football. They're going to be able to. You got to pick your spots with Khalil Herbert. This is a good spot to pick. Montgomery last week, you saw that swing back his direction. I don't see the Bears not being able to execute a game plan they want to execute, and the game plans they want to execute are run heavy. So you can pick a spot with Herbert this week as kind of a 3 flex play that has some upside to him. You're good with Mooney. Claypool, you still want to see it and see him get a little bit more involved in the offense as he comes into this week 2. If you absolutely need it, sure, you can take that dart throw. It's a good matchup to do it. But, this offense from Getsy is not the easiest one to learn from what I've heard and read. So just something to keep in mind. Lions side of this, DeAndre Swift should see his workload continue to increase based on some comments from Dan Campbell. He seems to have been pretty honest about that whole situation. So even if it's 10 to 15 targets in this one, you're good with Swift. Jamal Williams will still have a role. So both backs. We mentioned the Bears secondary has not necessarily been, and the Bears defense has not necessarily been fantastic. St. Brown's a 3 with upside this week. They still have good corners. And we mentioned that Detroit does not have the same level of firepower. But, as long as St. Brown's going to get the bulk of the targets there from Detroit, then you're going to ride that, especially with what we've seen from the Bears the last couple weeks. So should be a fun one from two teams that aren't in playoff contention or anything. Should be a pretty profitable game for fantasy. The other thing, too, is look at Cole Kmet for a potential repeat performance. I think that might have been a sign of some things to come.
This is the game I'm definitely looking at stacked on DFS. Like, even go Justin Fields, you can go back the other way. You go with Cole Kmet. You can go in with Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, however you want to piece it, you can piece it together. Darnell Mooney is a little risky, but he comes at 5,500. I still like him, but I just feel like Okuda's going to be on him, and Okuda's been quite shutting down a lot of wide receivers. So I'd play that one with caution, even though the value of it's good. Is
Okuda going to be on him or Chase?
He'll be on Okuda. Or he'd be on Mooney. Sorry. Yeah. But yeah, he'll be more on him. I forget how you say his last name. Iguane or something. He sucks. He's the number 2, but he'll probably be more on likely on Claypool. But the Justin Fields hype is real because he's been the QB1 since week 5. But that Lions defensive line, I think it's still gonna try to figure out how to stop him.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck.
And the Lions defense comes in at $2,900, so might be a sneaky play.
No, don't touch that.
You wouldn't touch that?
Not a chance.
Unless you want. I mean, if you can get turnovers and sacks, maybe, which is something that I feel still does.
Yeah,
but you're gonna get you could get potentially cooked for points. So it's a boom bust. If there's ever a boom bust defense, I think it's against.
You don't want boom bust in your defense.
No, well, I mean in DFS,
and not when bust is the more likely outcome.
I know, but that's. I mean, you're building game stacks at this point, setting up a bunch of lineups. I don't hate having some lines thing to it, but I also agree with Hopper. Justin Fields to the moon.
I didn't mention bye weeks yet, by the way. Ravens, Bengals, those are the 2 big ones, but Patriots and Jets all on bye. So
that's still Lamar's gone. No Lamar, no Andrews,
no Drake,
Burrow,
no
Higgins.
Andrews, Burrow, Higgins, Mixon, Stevenson, Myers,
Chase,
Carter, Robinson, Garrett Wilson,
Mixon,
and Garrett Wilson.
Rest in peace, all my games that I lost last week because of Mixon.
He was on my bench. I still won that game, but he was on my bench.
That's funny. All right, we got a trade question from Zachary Hugh. It's a big boy trade here too. 12-man PPR league. So he says trade away. So you have Swift is for sure part of this deal, and then there's kind of one other running back and one other receiver. So he's asking between Henry or Barkley to go alongside Swift. That's a huge move. And then throwing in Jamal Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, or CeeDee Lamb. And he's trying to acquire McCaffrey and Kenneth Walker. So I'll break this down a little bit more. You're looking at a potential deal of a top 3 running back in Henry or Barkley, Swift, who's still recovered from his injury, but there's still a lot of upside, and then Jamal Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, or CeeDee Lamb. There's so much range in that outcome. And he's trying to acquire McCaffrey and Kenneth Walker. So I guess out of...
Yeah, let's build the trade first, right? Because there's some variability there.
Well, can he start all those running backs? Like if you trade away Henry or Saquon, so that's and then you have Swift there.
You can start 3 in most scenarios. You're trading away Swift and then Henry or Saquon. So you're trading 2 backs to get 2 backs.
You're getting a little more certainty in your running back swaps between McCaffrey and Walker, with Swift still hurt and the Lions offense is in this very odd spot. But you also have to potentially give up. You're not giving up Jamal Williams. Like I doubt that trade gets accepted, so I just want to throw him out. But St. Brown or Lamb.
I would do St. Brown as the wide receiver I'm willing to move, and I would do Barkley as the running back that I'm willing to move in this one.
So you guys are willing to move St. Brown, Barkley, and Swift for McCaffrey and Walker.
I'm actually...
Go ahead, Ryan.
I really move Swift and Jamal and Amon-Ra. Give me all the Lions.
You're not going to be...
just go for CMC.
There's no way that trade gets accepted with Jamal Williams in there. I mean, it'd be a pipe dream. Like if I could get that deal to go through, sure, fine. I would be fine with that. But I just don't think you're going to get that trade accepted with Jamal Williams. Would you be willing to take McCaffrey and Walker on if you gave up Barkley or Henry with Swift?
Yeah.
And then Lamb or St. Brown?
I would be able to.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, I'd rather hold on to Lamb. He's got the most upside of those last 3. I think Henry's a little bit more solidified right now than Barkley. I mean, Henry is that Tennessee offense right now.
Oh, they're both.
He's getting all the workload.
So is Barkley.
But we just talked earlier in the show about how Barkley's trended down the last 4 weeks or so since his hot start. So, and Henry's gone the other direction. So give me the guy whose stock is down, right away the guy whose stock's down right there if you can. I like Henry a little bit more from an insulated perspective, especially with CMC coming in. I consider CMC, Barkley, similar type of players, CMC with higher upside. CMC makes getting rid of Saquon completely palatable. And I think Walker for, Swift and ARSB, Walker's been the RB3 the last 4 weeks. I'm all for it.
Yeah. You're basically swapping 2 elite 2-down grinders who are workhorses, and then you're swapping the 2 best pass catching backs. 2 of the top pass catching backs. I wouldn't do it if it's Lamb. I'd be very pressed. But St. Brown, I think I would do that deal for St. Brown, and obviously I would do that deal for Jamal. So I'd probably start with the St. Brown side, Zachary. Do a Barkley. You pick between Barkley or Henry. To me, it doesn't matter. I think Barkley still has a little more upside, but the offense is turning backwards, and Henry is coming into his own since his return from injury this year. So you pick between those 2. I would not give up CeeDee Lamb. Ryan, any closing thoughts before we keep moving on to the games?
No.
Okay.
I've already said everything on it.
Tyler Algier trying to block Brian Burns is a mismatch.
How'd that work out?
I feel like that's a terrible
Mariota
thing.
got sacked.
Yeah, that's how that should always work out. Brian Burns elite, Tyler Algier not elite.
He's a
also,
fifth-round pick.
not his primary job is not to block. So
You probably don't want him blocking either. All
there's
right,
that too.
Jacksonville at Kansas City. Kansas City is 9.5-point favorites at home. 50.5 is the game total. Both teams aren't great against the spread this year. Jacksonville has only covered one game, which was this past week against the Raiders. Last time they covered a game was back in September. Chiefs have been kind of up and down in that department. From a spread standpoint, 9.5 points is a lot of points, right? A lot of back, door shit can happen, especially if Jacksonville's down by a couple of scores in the fourth quarter. They can easily come back and score a late touchdown to push this. I would stay away from the spread here, and I would just bet the over. I think we're starting to see Jacksonville's offense become a little more comfortable, and you're going to start seeing, I think, a little more efficiency from it. And KC's been lock and step, with these newer guys, to this team are starting to get more comfortable within the offense. They expect more efficiency and more scoring from them. So I love the over at 50.5, and I'd stay away from the spread.
This is another game that is a fantasy football gold mine. So
Yeah.
Kansas City giving up the most points in the receiving game to running backs, which is a weird thing. Not a weird thing. It's a great thing if you have Travis Etienne. Game script wise, Christian Kirk is going to be fine. He's been up and down, and this is going to be, kind of one of those floor plus up sort of weeks. Evan Ingram, we talk about, him a lot as somebody you're pretty comfortable with if he's being a top 10 tight end at this point, and I don't think there's anything that changes that necessarily here either. The Chiefs' run game, you haven't been able to predict anything with. Jerick McKinnon's been kind of the most utilized, but there's not anything you're comfortable with on that front, so avoid it. And, in the receiving game, Juju, absolutely. This is another good matchup where Hardman's going to get his shots. He's coming off the big game. People are going to start him. I think that's perfectly fine given the matchup. Kelsey, Mahomes are chalk. Juju should be considered chalk too. So, really, it's a Christian Kirk week. Yes, chase the Mecole Hardman points.
I like it. I'm still on the Marquez Valdes-Scantling bandwagon. I'm not getting off of it.
Ryan does not want to come off.
No, I don't want to come off until it goes off because I'm just tired of it because it's like he was doing great, he had it, and then it falls off, and it's hard to to go for him because you look at him and compare to Mecole Hardman. Mecole Hardman scored 47.9 points over the last two games, while Valdes-Scantling's had 19.3. So it's been a tale of two different sets of players. But in his first four games, Valdes-Scantling saw 22 targets, and then this last four he's only seen 16. But his max was back in week 5 when he saw 8. So the targets aren't there. I feel like it's the shift because Andy Reid knows when to shift that offense. It's going to shift from Mecole Hardman. It's going to go back to Marquez Valdes-Scantling because they gave him that huge ass contract, and they're not getting any money out of it. So I just feel like it's gonna be a deep play. MVS is going to score. You're going to smash at him for $4,100, and it's going to be well worth it.
Ryan is going to will this into existence.
I will.
Another way, it's still going to be Juju he's going to have 10 targets, 8 catches for 85 yards and a tutty. And then we're all going to be like, Juju.
Do you not play MVS in fantasy?
Oh, no. He's a DFS play.
He certainly is a DFS play you can make.
I love
it. He's worth the cost because it doesn't cost that much, but that's all I got for here.
He is a fun comeback. This will be a very popular game stacking. You're going to see a variety of stacks with all of Mahomes' receiving options and Jacksonville's options, right? With Kurt and Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, you're going to see stacks go fucking lore.
Yeah, and MVS is the cheapest name of all the known names that everyone would know.
I'd probably stay away from Mecole and DFS. I'm sure unless his salary's gone up.
He's at 4,500.
Okay, yeah.
I
Yeah.
love how pumped up Johnny Hecker just was about putting that punt at the 2 because the special teams guy, his gunner, made a play.
Love it. All right. Browns, Dolphins. Dolphins, 3.5-point favorites at home. Game total is at 49.5. I thought the Dolphins had a better record than I didn't realize they're just 4-5.
The defense has been bad, and you didn't have Tua for a couple
This
weeks.
is-
but I see why, because how good the offense has been, but the defense is.
This is a team of streaks, right? They won 3 in a row to start the year. Tua gets hurt. Bridgewater's banged up as well. They lose 4 straight. Since Tua's return, they won 3 in a row. As far as I'm concerned, with Tua, they're 6-0. As long as they can protect him, this is a team that just finds ways to win games. I would take Miami. I'll take the points at home. I'll take the over. Their defense sucks. I don't think it matters who their quarterback is. Brissett's a professional. You guys have mentioned liking both. Both of them are Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones. That should not change for this matchup, and it should not change in your expectations of the game total. Should be another fun game to stack in DFS once we get to it.
Yes, man.
So take Miami and the over.
It's definitely going to be another sneaky fun game for fantasy because of how good Miami's offense is, and how bad their defense is. So, without getting into the players that you would consider chalk, I would say Donovan Peoples-Jones is an absolute play this week in this matchup, given how bad Miami's defense has been. He's going to get his shots. He's shown decent floor over the last 3 to 4 weeks, and you 100% have an opportunity at some upside. Cooper has been silently very, very good this season. On the Dolphins side, the biggest question is, Mostert and Wilson. Wilson had a good game last week and got a lot of hype. He caught the touchdown. Without the touchdown, though, 70 scrimmage yards is just okay. You got a 50-50 split. They're both flex plays. It really comes down to whoever gets the touchdown, and you need to see more than just 1 week of that.
Yeah, that whole Jeff Wilson, Raheem Mostert, it's a true 50-50 split. They each had 9 carries.
People are just high on Wilson because he had the touchdown. It had been Mostert with the touchdown like it was a couple weeks ago, then completely the other direction.
Mostert had a rushing touchdown in that game. Mostert had the rushing, and Wilson had the receiving, I think, if I'm correct.
Last week?
They both had a touchdown. Yeah, they both scored.
Mostert did have the rushing touchdown, yes. Just 26 total yards, though, and didn't have the receiving work. So 50 more scrimmage yards for Jeff Wilson. But 50-50 split is a 50-50 split.
Yeah, but I like Jeff Wilson in that case for DFS because Mostert comes in at 6,100, and then Wilson's at 5,500. So the $600 saving there for a 50-50 split.
Take whoever's cheaper.
Yeah, and then totally smashing on Donovan Peoples-Jones like we've already been talking about all night. Amari Cooper's a hit at 6,500, but DPJ at 4,300. Hell of a savings.
I do like
defense.
that.
This Miami defense, their defensive backs suck.
Big
I don't care if
playability too.
Xavier-
There's a lot of big plays in this game that that the defense gives up.
It could very well be a track meet.
And Amari Cooper always burns Xavier Howard, so take that for what it's worth. And is it true that David Njoku is really going to play this week?
He's not.
He could. I
could.
doubt it.
All right. So he spotted it. He was working on the sideline.
Yeah.
Earlier. He's probably not going to play this week, so I wouldn't look at that.
Yeah, was not considered a non-participant. He was doing kind of his own work off to the side. So
yeah, I wouldn't look at any of these Cleveland tight ends, even though the play is great. But if it's not in the Joker, you don't want to play it.
So my favorite stat in this Panthers game, Panthers Falcons, Kyle Pitts, 7 targets, 1 catch.
Oh,
how many overthrows were they?
I'm sure all of them.
Well, I know one of them was intercepted, maybe 2 of them.
All of Twitter is pounding the table for Desmond Ridder, and at this point,
yes.
The fact that Atlanta's 4-5, you may have to wait another week or 2 for that to happen.
Right.
I love it. I love it.
So
keep going,
dumb.
Twitter.
All right, Houston Texans at the Giants. Giants are 4.5-point favorites at home. 41 is the game total. This should be great defense in Giants versus a pretty inconsistently bad offense in Houston. Someday we're gonna see the teams overload their front against Dameon Pierce. I have a feeling that his hardcore efficiency is going to take a dip soon as teams start to kind of say, fuck you, Davis Mills. We're going to throw everything at Dameon Pierce instead. But until that happens, Giants have been fantastic against the spread this season. I will still keep riding with them at minus 4.5. And I'll take the under. Both teams like to play slow. They're not very explosive. So Giants in the under.
The only thing you can trust on the Giants is Saquon Barkley for the most part. Texans are not giving up a ton defensively because you don't got to do a ton against them. Let's put it that way. It's a good Barkley game script. Stay away from a Daniel Jones stream. I don't know you can do anything with the Texans other than Dameon Pierce. Cooks is back at practice, but it's just pretty low. This is like the opposite of 3 or 4 of the other games we talked about where they're fantasy gold mines. This is just absolutely 100% not that. So for the Giants, the other thing that you could do if you were, Andrew's guy looking on waivers, could lean it, give Daniel Bellinger a look, but I don't love that either. No. He was also banged up, if I remember correctly.
Who's the cornerback for his mind slipped him in for Houston?
Who's what?
Is it,
Davis Mills?
No, the cornerback, not the corner.
Oh,
the defensive back.
Singletary. Derek Singletary.
Him.
Stingley.
Derek Stingley.
Yeah.
Touchdown Falcons. Kendall Hodge.
Dang
Kadero
it.
Hodge.
Why?
Kadero Hodge.
That helps nobody.
There you go. Yeah. Hodge. Kendall Kadero, I don't care.
That's why I said Dan's in mid-season form. We've had Derek Singletary and Kendall Hodge.
Derek Stingley. Yeah, it's at least one of them I care about.
Stingley?
Yeah, Stingley's been a shutdown corner, so
Yeah.
I don't see anyone really doing good for anyone on the Giants.
You don't want to play with Giants receivers anyway. It's total avoid.
You'll get Slayton, probably.
Q just shanked an extra point.
Wan'Dale Robinson.
Yes.
At best.
Maybe. He plays in and out. This game's gross.
Yeah, this game, I'd just be playing the 2 running backs, and that'd be it.
Yep.
Okay. I can't do anything else.
Saints.
I don't even love Pierce because the Giants are pretty good against the run. So
yeah,
and he has no touchdown upside, and he doesn't catch passes. I think that this is a floor, 50-yarder for Dameon Pierce.
21 carries for 58 yards.
Yeah.
All right. Saints at Steelers. Saints are 2-point favorites. 40 even is the game total. Both teams a little bit up and down against the spread this season. Saints offense this past week kind of took a dud against Baltimore, just 13 points. While Pittsburgh just traded away Chase Claypool with the struggling offense that can't score points. An inefficient run game due to how bad their offensive line is. Take the Saints in the under. If you don't want to bet the spread, then just take the under because I don't see Pittsburgh winning this game even at home.
Don't want to bet the spread? Just don't bet the spread.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, this one's another one where I don't think Pittsburgh has much repair doing anything. Najee Harris has been absolutely terrible. Deontay Johnson is, target volume is what it is. He has not necessarily been good, and I think you got better options than Pickens this week against the Saints. Pickens is the one that, okay, yeah, you got to start it. That's okay, but you don't look at this and feel fantastic about it. Pat Freiermuth is really the only, Steeler within his position group that I look at and have a lot of trust with. Saints side of the football, Chris Olave, Alvin Kamara. And, Steelers defense being bad, you do have Andy Dalton as a potential streamer this week. I'll give it that one.
Juwan Jennings. Just kidding.
He got touchdown last week.
That's all he keeps doing.
Holy crap.
What?
Chris Olave is $6,800.
I mean, when you've been a very good
lately.
and high and consistent wide receiver too, I'm surprised that it's only 68 on. Oh, actually, not shocked. It's all right.
I think that's as high as it's been for the season now.
It probably should. It has to be.
Yeah, 68. Yeah, last week he was 65. So he's been going up for the past. This is week 4 in a row. Wow. But I actually would still go George Pickens on it just because, he had a dud game. He didn't catch anything last week, and he only had 3 targets. But other than that, he's been at like 6 consistent targets last 3 weeks prior to that. So I can see this as a bounce back game for him, especially at 5,000 as a flex play if you want to go wide receiver there. But for sure, I love Kamara this week. And Najee Harris, as bad as it sounds, is down to 5,500.
Jesus.
Which is
I probably still wouldn't play him. I can't trust that he's going to play the full complement of stats.
Exactly.
No.
And
he went 8 for 32 last week. He was averaging 4 yards. But just based on the rush attempts he gets,
8 carries. So
you're hoping he gets one of those carries at least in the end zone just to get something out of it.
But he doesn't even do that because we'll see what Pickens get. We'll see which Marcus Lattimore we get this week for Pickens. I'm sure he'll be on him the most.
That was what I was worried about.
All right.
I mean, guess how many touchdowns Najee Harris already has for the season?
He has 1 or 2, I think.
He has 3.
3. Yeah.
I think this time last year he was at 6, and then he took off again.
All right, trade question before we keep moving. Not trade question. Start or sit. Trevor Lawrence or Jimmy G with Joe Burrow on the bye.
Trevor Lawrence for ceiling and Jimmy G for
Chiefs
floor.
And Jimmy G against the Chargers. I would probably go with Lawrence.
It's Lawrence. There's no need to go for floor in a single QB league. Go for upside. Trevor Lawrence. All right. Broncos at the Titans. Titans are 3-point favorites at home. 38. 30 fucking 8 is the game total. Titans have covered 6 straight games.
So gross.
While the Broncos have only managed 3 covers all year. If there isn't a game where you bet the Titans, then I don't know what you're doing. Take Tennessee, lay the 3 points. And under this low, there's always good reasons for Vegas to put it when it's this extreme. Just stay away from it. Or lean the under. Until the Broncos can show that they can actually score fucking points. Yeah. Titans.
Yeah. So the Broncos are
bad.
A mess. You've not had a good Cortland Sutton game in the last 3 weeks. Tennessee's got a good defense. Jerry Jeudy gives you the most floor. Greg Dulcich is a must start at tight end right now. That's your one saving grace in that offense is Dulcich. You don't know what's going to happen with the running game. I want Dulcich, maybe Jerry Jeudy, and nothing else on the Broncos side. The Tennessee side is just Derrick Henry. This is not going to be pretty.
No,
this is a game you stay away from. Just stay away from this game.
Avoid.
Yeah.
Nobody in this game other than Derrick Henry that you have to start.
And Jerry Jeudy. I still start Jerry Jeudy just based on what he's done over the last 2 games. He's had 18 targets and caught 13 of them and turned that to 159 yards and a touchdown. So take that for what it's worth.
It's worth floor. I mean, it's a tough defensive matchup. It's worth floor.
But yeah, I like you're calling the Dulcich. Dulcich is even like super cheap too on DFS. He comes in at 3,400.
Hurt in bye week. It's probably helped keep his salary a little
I was able to snag him off waivers this week, and I was shocked as shit.
That's good.
Yeah, this is actually
good.
My Mark Andrews bye-week villain.
This is the first time he's broke 3,000. So he went from 28,000 against Jacksonville to 3,400 this week after the bye. So quite the jump, but it's still worth it.
Yeah. All right. Afternoon games. We're done with the nooners. 5 games left in total. Let's fucking ramp this up and get the fuck home. Colts at the Raiders. Raiders are 4.5 point favorites at home. 41 is the game total. I'm staying away from this game completely. Both teams have massive question marks for multiple reasons. Coaching staff, key injuries to players. Just stay away from this game. There's no need to play it.
Yeah.
I also feel the same way.
Yeah. The matchup says Pittman. The matchup says that you could look at Colts, but the quarterback says don't. I don't know that Pittman's necessarily a worse play than Jerry Jeudy, but for entirely different reasons. It's the target volume is a little bit tilted towards Pittman, and the matchup's a little bit tilted towards Pittman. But you've gotten more out of Jeudy. I think those two are pretty close. So I don't know how you can say one's a start and the other isn't necessarily, given the matchups this week. Jonathan Taylor playing is the best thing that you can get out of the Colts, and for the Raiders, it's Adams and Jacobs, and that's it. Matt Collins, it should be a low-scoring game, and the Colts secondary is not bad, so not really something where I'm like, I want to run Matt Collins out there. He's probably the desperation play of the week, I would say, that you could throw at, and I'd be relatively comfortable with.
Hopper, James Conner, or Tony Pollard this week?
It's gotta be Pollard. Pollard's got Green Bay. Zeke is still limited right now.
Yeah, Pollard. Connor, Arizona's offense is it's all in the passing game.
Well, yeah, for sure.
And they get the Rams. It should be a low scoring. Which is also a low scoring game.
So. Connor's not getting full workload.
Oh,
it's two teams with the worst offensive lines versus each other.
Yeah,
and the Rams and the Cardinals.
Justin, I would not be concerned about Zeke coming back. Pollard has made his complete career based off of the hyper efficiency.
Right.
He's to only keep drawing more work. Zeke's going to take away any high touch opportunity he gets, but Pollard is their big play machine.
Pollard's one of 3 backs that has consistently made, week in, week out production based on efficiency.
Yeah. I would play Pollard with confidence over James Conrad.
Yeah.
Or Connor. Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
James Conrad.
James Conrad.
You know what? It might get to that for somebody.
It's going to be John Connor.
I mean, God. You put that James Conrad temper to use.
No, Sunday will be John Connor.
I love James Conrad so much. James Conrad so much.
You get James Conrad worked up. He'll run through a pillow.
Oh, man. Anyways, if that's not a sign of we need to move the fuck on, let's move the fuck on.
We're almost
Speaking of Tony Pollard, Cowboys at the Packers. Dallas is 4.5 point favorites on the road. 43 is the over-under. Look, Green Bay, it's been fucking terrible. They can kind of keep games relatively close. Home game, this is a matchup they're probably looking at saying this is our season right now, is circling this game as a must win for them to keep their playoff hopes in check at believe they're 3-7, 3-6 right now. I'm still taking Dallas because fuck Green Bay, but also because Dallas is one of the more complete teams in football. Great defense, fantastic pass rush, fantastic secondary, and an offense that's starting to get healthy. They're going to put Green Bay to rest. If it wasn't the Lions, if it wasn't the Jets or the Giants, Dallas will now finish the job, take them with massive confidence, which feels gross to say because it's Dallas, but yeah, I hate Green Bay so much more.
Oh yeah,
I hate him so much.
I'm with you on this one, Dan. I'm with you on that one. Smash them.
There's no reason to get cute on the Cowboys side of things. It's your normal suspects for them. by normal suspects. We just talked about Pollard. Zeke, you can probably avoid that this week.
Yeah, I'd be cautious with Zeke.
I'd be very cautious there. Lamb, Schultz, you're good. The Packers are scary. I don't know how else to put this. Allen Lazard's been their most reliable receiver. He's probably going to end up with Diggs, who's gone from a turnover machine to very shut down. And, you had Dobbs banged up. Packers are a tough one. Aaron Jones is fallen off big. A.J. Dillon hasn't taken off. It's ugly. Jones and Dillon have their normal flex value, but it's ugly. I don't know what else to say. You can't even start Lazard this week for floor because of the Diggs matchup.
He's gonna draw Diggs. Nope.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be beautiful for us that all hate Green Bay. But yeah, DFS wise, you're starting your Cowboys. You're not starting anything on the Green Bay side.
What is it?
Not Aaron Rodgers.
Toure or whatever. What's his price?
Samori Toure. 3,900.
Bless you.
No, I
Well, are you talking about?
But with Dobbs out with a high ankle sprain and Lazard grabbing Diggs in coverage, it really could be Samori Toure.
Toure had that deep touchdown last week that he dropped.
That's a deep cut for y'all.
Yeah, I do like it, but I don't.
Only in DFS will you get deep cuts that matter in this game.
Yeah.
All right.
No, but I see where Hop's coming from on that one.
Hey, Toure is my prized waiver wire possession pickup in the 16 team.
Is he your new
Actually, I don't even think I got him there. I think he was rostered, but no.
Is he your new Ben Skoranek this week?
Nah, no. We'll get to Ben Skoranek.
No, we won't. I mean, we will be, but no, won't.
No, it's just a deep cut, and it's like, all right, I think this could be a thing. If you're desperate enough to look for receivers in this game from the Packers, which hopefully you're not, Toure is the look. If I'm picking a pass catcher outside of Bob Tunyon for the Packers, it's Toure this week.
That's the hail list of Hail Marys.
It is the hail list of Hail Marys.
With the best hail-less besides Lizzie Hale.
Storm. Oh.
All right. We're fucking moving on. All right. Cardinals at the Rams, 1.5 point favorites. The Rams are at home. 40.5 is the game total. Both teams are middle of the road when it comes to covering against the spread this week or this season. Rams have covered 2 of their past 3. Cardinals are 1-4 in their past, or 1-3 in their past 4 games. So, both offenses are struggling, especially the Rams' offensive line's massive problem. Stafford may not play. I fully expect this line to change if he gets ruled out with them in concussion protocol. I can definitely see this game also losing its line. So be prepared. If you are to bet the spread in this game, if Stafford is ruled out, there's a very likely chance that they just nullify this game and give you your money back. So just be prepared for that. Otherwise, I wouldn't bet it. Lean Cardinals, I guess, now with getting points in this, there's no reason to really wait if you're going to bet the Cardinals.
No, there's not. Hopkins has been very, very good since he got back on the Cardinals side. The other thing that's happened, though, is Rondale Moore has maintained pretty good target volume. 18 over the last 2 weeks.
He's moved primarily into the slot, too, which is great.
150 and a touchdown. So Rondale Moore's a guy that you need to be paying attention to, and you probably need to be starting at a wide receiver 2 level. Rams secondary has not been great. Zach Ertz you're good with, just because tight ends are tight ends, and he's like a top 5 tight end over the last 4 weeks. The rest of this, don't touch the running game for Arizona. It's too much of a cluster right now. Other side of this for the Rams, speaking of running games that are clusters, possibility that Kyron Williams is back, Darrell Henderson, Cam Akers in the mix. No. Keep an eye on Stafford's status. You're obviously playing Cup, but whether you're playing anybody else or not is fully going to depend on Stafford. Stafford's there, then yeah, I think you can get away with an Allen Robinson play in this one. But If it's John Wolford, no, just no.
Dude, this game's
Oh
gross.
my god.
Yeah. So gross.
Ryan, do you have anything to add before we move on?
Do
you have any DFS?
Cardinals DST at 2,700.
Oh, that's so. There's
actually a really good
that's
call.
not chalk. That's not chalk. There's so much chalk to that.
I love it. That ranks as the.
Oh, good. God, Vegas actually believes
DST 15. So DST 15's for the week. If I count it right, they're in the teens. They're behind the Lions and Steelers.
A lot of turnover possibility. That's probably one of the best chalk.
Well, not just turnovers,
for
but
defense.
Sacks. Just because the defensive line's really good.
And so, I think Stafford's throwing a pick in every game this year.
Yeah. So I like that defense a lot. And that's pretty much all I want to start outside of the receivers.
All right. I can't believe Vegas thinks the Rams are going to score more points than the Chargers. Tonight, football. Chargers at the 49ers. 49ers are 7-point favorites at home. 45 even is the game total. Chargers are completely banged up. Missing their number 1 and number 2 wide receiver. The offense is just completely taking a step back from explosiveness because you have no real downfield threat. You're taking the Niners. I think the Niners are one of the better under-talked about teams in the NFL. Garoppolo is probably the only thing that's really holding them back. This is one of the better defenses. And now you throw in a McCaffrey that's had 2 games plus a bye week to get fully acclimated to this team. I think we're going to see a glimpse of what the Niners could be like for the rest of the season against a very banged up Chargers team. 7 points is a lot, but I am still taking the Niners at home, and I will pass on the game total.
Fair's fair. For the Niners, Garoppolo's a stream. We had a question about him earlier. Yeah, we didn't land his side, but he is still a very viable stream. He's pretty much been at the top of the streamer pile the last several weeks as far as productivity goes. It's a solid matchup. We talked about Brandon Ayuk earlier in the show. He's getting a ton of targets, has actually showcased some good floor. You do have Debo back. I think Debo will get his just because Debo always gets his, whether it's in the running game or the passing game or whatever. You can be pretty comfortable there. The Chargers side of this, look, it's not an easy defensive matchup, and they're totally void of weapons. It's Eckler, Everett, and you're gonna run Josh Palmer out and chase that because they don't have really anybody else in a position to catch footballs right. DeAndre Carter's not doing it. Palmer is clearly the best of the backups, and even then, this is it's a little bit of a tough matchup, and you don't want to rely on him as more than a wide receiver 3.
Oh, shit. Was it Jason Verrett that got injured today in practice?
Jason Verrett tore his Achilles and is probably
Jesus
done.
Christ. God, the Chargers, you feel so bad.
Right? Like they can't have nice things. They're not allowed to.
And Verrett's been an injury.
They can't buy health.
Verrett's been an injury magnet his whole career too. So
yeah, it's sad.
Like the dude is a fucking good cornerback, but he's played a whole 20 games over the last 5 seasons because of injury. And that's really the story of his whole career. I actually want to be impressed.
So basically, keep the Chargers in a nutshell.
Jason
Brandon
Verrett,
Ayuk could be a good play this week too. Even
who?
Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah.
6,400.
Jason Verrett came into this league in 2014, and he has played more than 6 games in a season twice.
Wow,
that's sad. Showdown slate. Any advice, Ryan, for the Sunday night showdown?
I have to go back and get the showdown because I'm able to pull up Sunday night and Monday night as regular.
Oh, okay.
Because they have slates where you can do like all day Sunday, all day, and the Monday game with it.
Yeah, makes sense.
But I can always throw it up on Twitter if anyone wants to know it.
All right. Final game.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
The Commanders at the Eagles. Eagles are 11-point favorites at home. Game total is 44 even. These teams played back in week 3. Eagles blew them out 24-8. That was before Heineke took over. Washington's actually been very good against the spread the past 4 games, covering all 4 of them, and all 4 games have been decided by 5 points or less, including the last 3 have been decided by 3 points or less. Philadelphia is the dominant team, best team in the NFC by far. But this Washington team's getting healthier, especially on that front 7. Heineke's got whatever juice he's got left, but that doesn't fucking matter because this is an 11-point spread. I'm not playing it. Way too much variance can happen. If anything, I would take the Commanders to cover 11 points. Stay away from the game total. I just don't like it.
Yep. Coming the other direction here for the Commanders, Terry McLaurin's been their best receiving option. That goes without saying. Antonio Gibson, I like as a flex play this week. He's getting all the receiving work, and they're going to be playing from behind, most likely. So, I think it was 2 weeks ago. He had 7 targets, caught all 7 of them, and pulled the touchdown. So, I do like Gibson as a flex play this week for the Commanders. The other side of this for the Eagles, I don't know who you don't start. Devonta Smith, I guess, because he hasn't really been doing a whole lot, but Ryan's going to come in and recommend that you start him because his price is probably lower. Other than that, Miles Sanders, very, very quietly good season for Miles Sanders. Touchdowns in the last 3 weeks. Hasn't broken 100 yards in 4 weeks, but he hasn't been below, 70 in the last 3. So if you're pulling touchdowns to go along with that, you're absolutely on board. They haven't really needed him in the receiving game. Jalen Hurts has been phenomenal. A.J. Brown has been Oilers good at football and has been trending upwards the last several weeks as well, particularly on the touchdown front. He has 5 over the last weeks. So.
I'm not going to recommend Devonta Smith this week in DFS because he cost $6,100, and
that's too.
I really go spend $6,100 somewhere else. I really dropped down to Terry McLaurin at $5,900.
I'm with you.
Because last time he played him,
he's going to draw Darius Slay too.
Yeah, but last time he played him, he had 9 targets, 6 receptions, and 102 yards. But that was also week 2, and that was when Philadelphia also almost lost week 1 to the Lions. So I'm gonna kind of look at that as they were working up into the game. So this game could be a lot better. So that could be a trap right there play. I almost be willing to go Dallas Goedert though at 5,500, just to be on the safe side of it. If I was going to go anything for the Eagles on that one, Washington, no one else. But I do like Hopper's call though of Antonio Gibson because he's actually a better deal. He costs $200 more than Brian Robinson at 5,200. But I like him a lot, especially in DFS, just to get the catches because for DraftKings, that's what you're here for is PPR.
Absolutely. All right, we got one more question, then we'll get the fuck out. You got to sit one. Pick one to sit. Adam Thielen, Mecole Hardman, DPJ, or Devin Singletary. Full point PPR. Thielen, Hardman, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and Singletary. Full point PPR. Who you sitting?
I'm going to sit Thielen on this one just because of the way Hawkinson's coming into the game. I feel like Thielen's going to be losing more and more as Hawkinson gets more and more adapted to this offense.
I think I'm on Singletary for this one. I can see them playing from behind, and we're going to see a little more Nyheim Hines. Singletary, he may not get the touches to get him there, but I do agree with you on Thielen too, Ryan. That's where my 2 land on.
For pick 3 to start, right? So it's sit 1 effectively.
Yeah, that's why I said pick 1 to sit.
So it comes down. I'm with you. It comes down to Thielen and Singletary. They're the 2 that I'd rather sit. And when given the choice, I'm gonna start the running back. So, I'm also on the sit Thielen train here. And that's just positional differences, running backs give you a little bit more floor.
Yeah, that's what I'm for.
I'd say flip a coin. Don't really matter. It's I view them both very equally as both players I don't really want to play.
Yep.
Yeah, their points could be very considerably the same.
Yeah. All right. That's the show, guys.
That's the show.
That's the show. That was fun.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.
See you guys Sunday.
See you Sunday morning.
9:30. Hour
9:30,
before Germany kickoff.
Isn't it 11:30 kickoff? We normally go at 10.
But we generally go at 10 though. Yeah.
So move it back a half an hour. 9:30.
Yep.
All right.
Sounds good.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Okay, bye.
See ya.